Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Management Talk with LJ and Jocelyn. We're so excited to be back with you for a really explosive season 2. Now, if you haven't listened to season 1 of our podcast, we encourage you to go back and listen to it. So, LJ, what's the topic that we're talking about this week?
So we're going to be talking about intrapreneurs versus entrepreneurs. And it's really not even a versus, right? It's more of a intrapreneur and entrepreneur sort of situation. But for the purposes of being able to talk about the differences in terms of skills and abilities that each of them has, we want to make sure that we, clarify what we expect when we talk about an intrapreneur versus what we expect when we talk about an entrepreneur. And welcome back, everyone. We're so happy to be back with you all. I know that you all missed us. So we're back.
We are back. So, I think for folks, intrapreneur might actually be a really new term for a lot of folks, right? And they're like, I know what an entrepreneur is, or at least I think I know what one is. So I think that we probably should probably define those two terms for just a minute here, right? So, LJ, you want to talk about what's the intrapreneur?
The intrapreneur is the tactician. They're the champion for your organization. So when you think about the people who work within an organization, the ones who receive the orders, the ones who receive the vision and are charged with implementing that vision or making real those bold statements that you hear people make all the time. Those are your intrapreneurs. These are the catalysts. These are the change agents in the organization. These are the ones who take the vision and make the vision real.
Okay. And for those, and we all need those, right? I mean, within our businesses, within the organization, we definitely need the intrapreneurs. And on the other side of it, you have entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are very much, they typically will found businesses, they'll own businesses, they'll invest in businesses. They may run one day today, but they're a lot more about the outside picture as things. I know that you and I talked some last season, and we've talked off, as people know. This came about because of our conversations you and I had for several years. And so when we launched this, and you and I had talked about the fact that entrepreneurs are, a lot of times they're what we call the visionaries, and they can also be technical and have technical aspects, but they're working in a certain lane. They're driving the business, they're looking at it, but they're not necessarily the tacticians doing everything.
Exactly. And it's an important distinction, because especially with solopreneurs, what we see with solopreneurs is that solopreneurs know how to basically exploit the strengths of both entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship. They know how to run a business. They understand doing the business of business. Mm-hmm. And entrepreneurs really, truly are the ones who are going to have that type of knowledge and that skill set, because they tend to be T-shaped professionals, right? Like they have knowledge that's very specialized and very specific, but then they also know how to function in a general capacity as well. So whenever you throw something at them, they know how to make it happen, right? That's the intrapreneur. Now, the entrepreneur is not necessarily going to have that same sort of skill set. The entrepreneur has a vision for what it is that they want and what they want to achieve, but making sure that you actually have the skills that you're going to need and the talents and the capacity to do that. You may not have that match. What that means, though, for entrepreneurs is the same that it means for intrapreneurs. You don't take, continuous improvement for granted. You want to make sure that you commit yourself as a professional to development, professional development. Professional development is so very important for all of us. You know, it's just like thinking about therapy. You know, you don't go to a therapist when you have a problem. You're supposed to go to therapy in general all the time. and it's the same expectation for the therapist, right? Just like the attorney has their own attorney, the therapist has their, you know, therapist as well.
Right.
None of us are above, you know, support and help and guidance. All of us need support, help, and guidance. And what I like to think about when I think specifically about intrapreneurs and entrepreneurs is that intrapreneurs are going to tend to be those people within the organization who actively seek opportunity for continuous improvement, because they are at the level of making those decisions, those real-time decisions that, you know, result in either the success or the failure of projects for your organization.
Right. And we find them in not just for-profit businesses. We find them in the nonprofit business. Businesses do need that mixture of both parties, because in order to scale, as we say, on the for-profit side of things, right? Because often we don't think about nonprofit scaling, but they do scale as well. All businesses can scale, but in order for business to scale, you have to have mixtures of those different people. And sometimes your intrapreneurs are also entrepreneurial in spirit, because they are folks that they have a type of entrepreneurial calling, as I say, but they don't necessarily want to own the business. Their mission is really to help others grow that dream, and come in and provide those aspects. And I think that that's what makes business so much fun to me. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, I know you guys, if you listened last year, you heard, you know, me say more than once, you know, like, I don't care what your tax status is or a business, right? LJ knows
That's
this
right.
because I like it. Yeah. I repeat that to nonprofits over and over and over again. I'm like, that's just your tax status. You still need to run as a business. But it takes that mixture, especially even at the middle management level. It takes people who have those different skill sets, and we're not just talking like C-suite. In fact, if you can get this right in your business, in your organization, that mixture, you'll probably achieve way beyond where you even conceived when you first came up with the idea, or somebody said, hey, you're good at making X, you should do that for a living, right? So I think that
Exactly.
You know, so I think we're going to take a slight commercial break for a word or two from our sponsors. And so we will be back in our next segment, and we're going to continue this discussion and talk a little bit about, LJ, I'm thinking we should talk a little bit about how you recruit these type of folks, what maybe you want to look for. And
I agree.
Okay. Well, guys, we'll be back after this commercial break.